Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time on this Monday night. Treylon Burks has been a sore subject for you guys for a long, long time. And really, I was talking to a Titans fan. I was leaving the gym about an hour, or I guess I got to the gym about 2 hours ago. And a Titans fan, but what Jack McPherson of Bussin' with the Boys goes to my gym, and Jack was talking about the idea of Treylon Burks, and as a Titans fan, Jack was happy that that he doesn't have to hear about Treylon Burks anymore. And I had to tell him, not so fast, my friend. Lee Corso, not so fast, my friend. This Treylon Burks thing is not technically over yet, though it does feel about as over as humanly possible. But there is one extenuating circumstance here that we do have to talk about, because while he is available for other teams to acquire off of waivers, he is not outright off the Titans' books just yet, or could end up still on the Titans' books should he not be claimed. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. And we'll obviously talk about the end of Treylon Burks here, because it's over one way or another. It's just a matter of, is it going to be tomorrow on waiver claims, or will it be at the end of the 2025 regular season, or whenever their season comes to an end and they can just move on at this point? So there is a couple of different things here that we have to dive into. But, first and foremost, and we talked about this last night as a secondary subject. I didn't want to lead with Treylon. I think the Cam stuff is, one, way more interesting for you guys and obviously more important. And then Treylon's thing is just unfortunate. But him dealing with all the stuff that he's dealt with, some of it's self-inflicted. Some of it is just, he's very unlucky with his health. He is in a situation that I would not wish on anybody. And I think first and foremost, like Treylon Burks and Will Levis, they're not bad people, right? They are not good football players. And I think people make it personal with them as a result. And Treylon's always going to be a sore subject because of who Treylon will forever be tied to. And that's A.J. Brown, the best wide receiver in the NFL right now, and probably has been for the past couple of years. Hell, he's gotten better since he went to Philadelphia. And now, it's just that constant reminder, because it's only been, 2022 is when he was drafted, and we haven't hit the 2025 season yet. So it's not even 4 years. It's just a little over 3 that he's been a part of this franchise. But I was talking to McPherson today as we were crossing paths this evening at the gym, and Jack made a comment like, it feels like it's been 10 years of dealing with the Treylon Burks situation. And it's just how bad it's been. And these last 3 years have felt like 10 seasons. It's nightmare type of stuff. Jack Longley says of Burks, he's injury prone, but not in the normal sense. It's never a lingering issue such as Snead's knees. It's always a freak accident injury. The man cannot escape atrocious injuries. Yeah, it's sad. It is sad at the end of the day. And I know that there's no love lost for you, because you want players that produce. And the guys who don't, you're very happy to move on from. And I completely understand that too. But there is some degree of a human element here. And as Mike Bell, not personal at all. This is business. Business wasn't getting done. And I think that's about as good a scenario, or as good a way as it could be articulated. I think that's completely fair, Mike. So anyway, we're going to talk about Treylon Burks and why you're not quite done with him yet, even though you may have washed your hands of the situation and assumed that because they waived him that he got cut. He did not get cut. He got waived, and there's a difference that we're going to talk about. But we will do that. We will get to whatever Bert has prepared for us at the end of the show, for in case you missed it. And we'll go ahead and start this thing in the meantime. Share the broadcast around as you will, and we'll go ahead and get rolling. Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time on this Monday night. I'm your host, Buck Rising. Welcome in. If you're new, we're happy to have you, and I'm proud as always to be presented to you by TrueMap Fitness in the Gulch. They'll help you achieve your fitness goals. TrueMap Fitness goes above and beyond to make those goals possible and to make them achievable specifically for you. They've helped me. They've helped so many others. Here in Middle Tennessee, your first workout is free at TrueMapFitness.com. Speaking of helping people, Two Rivers Ford, they help you find the right vehicle at the right price with the right financing that makes the most sense for your family's budget and for your needs. Go to Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet or online at tworiversford.com for more details today. So Treylon Burks gets waived with an injury designation, and it doesn't mean that Treylon Burks' time with the Titans is done. Now, it could be, but there are some extenuating circumstances here that have to be taken into consideration that I think people were very quick to ignore because you're in such a rush, understandably so, to move on from Treylon Burks. But the question that I'll ask you here tonight to start off with your Two Rivers Ford take in the comment section, what was your reaction to the Titans waiving Treylon Burks? Again, waiving is different than a release. And that, I think, is the thing that got lost in the shuffle. So let me know in the comment section what your reaction this afternoon was. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch. Right after I remind you, well, I've already told you about Two Rivers Ford. They're the South's most trusted Ford dealer. They are always there for quality American-made Ford vehicles and award-winning customer service. Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet or online at tworiversford.com for more details. What was your reaction to the Titans waiving Treylon Burks with an injury designation today? My initial reaction was, oh, thank God. Thank God. For him, for you, for us. I don't want, again, this is not personal, as somebody said earlier. I can't remember the name of the commenter, but as somebody said earlier, it's not personal, it's business. The business of Treylon Burks is bad business. And it has been bad business from the jump, from the time that he came in for his rookie training camp dealing with asthma to the knee situations. He's had 3 separate knee situations. None of them, I think, super correlated to one another, just independent. Like he lands funny at Vikings joint training camp practices 2 years ago in Minnesota. He has a knee strain that he works through. He had an ACL repair last year that happened in practice, non-contact, not a full tear. So these three things are independent of each other. He's had concussions, which obviously once you have one, the percentage chance that they reoccur is significantly greater. And then a broken collarbone now, or a fractured collarbone. Now for Treylon Burks, it's just been one thing after another. And oh, by the way, he was traded for, essentially he was traded for the best wide receiver going in professional football. And I know some people may think Justin Jefferson is better than A.J. Brown. And some people may think Jamar Chase is better than A.J. Brown. They're not, I promise. They have better quarterback situations, or they have had. And I'm not down on Jalen Hurts by any stretch of the imagination, but it is an appreciable difference in the level of quarterback play that those two players have had versus A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown is better than both of them, and I would stand on that. Heading into the season, I think that A.J. Brown is the best wide receiver in football going currently. He's not on your roster anymore. He could have been the best Titans wide receiver ever. He is the most talented wide receiver to ever be drafted by this franchise. And because John Robinson was keen on winning a negotiation, and by the way, there was precedent. Like, I know a lot of people after the fact and several years after the fact are like, how could you be so stupid? There was a good many of you that were not bothered by the idea of trading AJ because you didn't like his Twitter, or you questioned his level of availability, or you thought, as John Robinson did, that, yeah, okay, well, we can just do what Minnesota did, and we can trade away Stephon Diggs, we can draft our Justin Jefferson, and we can keep this thing rolling. And it didn't work out that way at all. In fact, it was catastrophically bad. It's not the worst trade in NFL history, but it's up there. It's really, really bad. It's really, really bad. And I, at the time, was furious because I know what the Titans' history of wide receiver success or lack thereof is. Drafting wide receivers, certainly. God knows paying wide receivers in free agency hasn't worked here either. It has. I was livid. And not just because I enjoy A.J. Brown as a person and as a player, but like, how could you do something so foolish, arguing over dollars and cents when at the time, $25 million a year for a wide receiver, yeah, okay, it seems like a lot at the time. Now they're making 35 and 40, which is crazy. A.J. Brown was not that long ago. Again, this is it's less than 3.5 years ago that this whole situation went down. Eric Manning says it's one of the worst trades in NFL history, period. I would agree. It's not, again, it is not the worst, but it is one of the worst. It indisputably, for how bad Treylon failed and how good. I mean, AJ's just gotten better in Philadelphia, and now he's a Super Bowl champion. And he's in this situation. John Robinson, him starting to light the Titans' future on fire began really in earnest with Isaiah Wilson. Treylon wasn't until 2022, but Treylon and the AJ trade that came with Treylon, or that Treylon came with, are as big a part of that history as humanly possible. You guys shit on Mike Vrabel, but like Mike Vrabel was doing fine with AJ Brown, and he knew immediately. I mean, that video of him that the NFL Network had of him stalking around, pacing around like a caged animal in the draft room the night that John traded AJ. It's crazy. Randall Williamson says $25 million a year was the max at the time, and Vrabel ball meant 1,200 yards at best. So top dollar for 1,200 yards. No thanks. I would rather pay D-Hop or Ridley for the same piece of the price. Well, that's just stupid. I mean, that's unbelievably ignorant. It's not Vrabel ball. It's Derrick Henry ball. Are you so ignorant? And by the way, 1,200 yards for a wide receiver, like you can just turn your nose up at that. Do you understand what this franchise is? How cursed it is at the wide receiver position? Randall, you're entitled to your opinion, but I'm also allowed to call your opinion factually inaccurate and stupid. That is completely ignorant. Now, you don't win Super Bowls outright just because you have the best wide receiver on the field. In fact, there's quantifiable evidence to suggest that you are in a situation where wide receivers don't really tip the scales that much. But A.J. Brown went to a super team and is the best wide receiver, one of the best players on the roster, on one of the best rosters in football. You think that you can just turn your nose up at that? How many shitty football teams have you fielded in those last 3 years? How many wide receivers have failed to even remotely sniff 1,200 yards? I know Hop got there and Ridley got to, or Hop got to 1,000 and Ridley got to 1,000. But like, it's not Vrabel ball. It's Derrick Henry ball. You all would have shit a brick if Mike Vrabel started airing it out 3 wide receiver sets with Derrick Henry on the roster. It is unbelievably stupid to try and attach that to a coach when the coach is doing exactly what the coach is supposed to do, which is cater the offense to the player. It is unbelievably dumb for you to I just can't even wrap my head around the idea that somebody would be so ignorant about the state of professional football that you would say, oh, 1,200 yards. Well, what are we going to do with 1,200 yards? 1,200 yards is so pedestrian. Buddy, you can't do shit. You had one of the worst passing offenses in football last year. And yeah, your quarterback situation has not been good. But you know what? You had a quarterback. Ryan Tannehill was fine until they started, until Lawan went down and they didn't have a left tackle anymore. And when they took A.J. Brown away from him, that was the nail in the Ryan Tannehill coffin. I know A.J. was in that playoff game that Ryan Tannehill shit the bed. But this whole thing didn't have to go up completely in flames. You could have been sustainably good instead of being one of the most inept, incompetent, and based on your position, just simping for stupidity. Like how somebody can see their organization commit football negligence and then back it up after the fact. And even like in real time, I don't understand it. I disagreed with it at the time. But like 3 years after the fact, to still be breathing through your mouth instead of your nose and saying, well, $25 million a year for a wide receiver that could only get to 1,200 yards and all the different things. By the way, made Derrick Henry better, made Corey Davis better, made Ryan Tannehill better. A player, I mean, A.J. Brown or Jeff Simmons, who's the best player on the roster if the two of them are still there? It's A.J. because he's the best in his position. Like, what an unbelievably dipshit position to hold on to. And I don't know if you're just entrenched or if you're just not capable of seeing the forest through the trees. I don't know, but you could not have expressed a more publicly loud, ignorant position than the Titans would be better off without A.J. Brown because D-Hop and Ridley for pennies on the dollar in comparison. Like, brother, you need to switch to another sport or you need to pick up a hobby or consider taking your talents elsewhere because you do not deserve to be populating the chat the way that the rest of these people who are clearly aware that this organization, this shitty organization as of late, could just be passing up on the best wide receiver in the sport, not just the best or the most talented. Derek Mason is still the best wide receiver to ever play for the Titans because Derek was here for longer. But the most talented player at the position that's now the best player at his position coming off a Super Bowl champion team, yeah, you're right. You, Randall, specifically you, not the rest of you, but you specifically, dipshit, you don't deserve that player. Just so stupid. I mean, just so unbelievably stupid. I assume that person's not in here anymore. And if he is, God bless you. So like I'm not interested in telling y'all how to be fans or how to think. Like if I can give you some extra context every once in a while that would help you, at least consider different perspectives or expand the way that you think about things. And a lot of times you guys help me see other perspectives too, which I always appreciate. Uh some of y'all are just beyond help. like that person I assume is the definition of somebody who would try and fit a square peg in a round hole. Like that's somebody who's probably needing some help in some different departments that way, because you cannot possibly. I mean, does somebody have to remind you to breathe if you are that incapable of thought? My God, just whew, dumb. Anyway, so with everything that you've got going on now, you're trying to get out of this. You're trying to get yourself out of this shithole that John Robinson largely contributed to putting you in. And John had success during his time here. But obviously he is as responsible for you being one of the worst organizations in football in the last couple of years. And it's sent everything else on a death spiral. So the reason why, I mean, my reaction to the Treylon Burks thing was thank God that they're just, this is, it felt a bit cruel because I talked about it on Thursday, and this was obviously before Treylon Burks got hurt on the radio show when we interviewed who did we have on the radio? Oh, Alec Ironman. We had Alec Ironman on the show. And so anytime we have a player at a certain position during training camp, and actually I'm not sure who we have tomorrow. I need to text the Titans PR people to see who is going to be on the show tomorrow. But we preview the position of the player that we interview that day at training camp. So we talked about the wide receivers. And I had for a while kind of been stuck in this position that you don't just cut Treylon Burks because he cost $4 million. And then I realized, oh no, they did that with Caleb Farley last year. And at a certain point, you just have to move on from a sunk cost. They will eventually move on from Will Levis. They have moved on, or they're trying to move on from Treylon Burks, because is the $4 million so important to you that you just can't make room for another wide receiver? And by the way, a fractured collarbone is not a season-ending injury, as we talked about the other night. A season-ending injury, it's not a question of could he come back. Of course he could come back. He could probably be back by November. But like, are you going to take Bryce? Are you going to cut Bryce Oliver, who's a special teams contributor and if I'm not mistaken, had more receiving yards than Treylon Burks last year? I'm going to pull that up just to make sure that I'm factually accurate about that. But like, it shouldn't be hard because Treylon had 34 yards receiving in 2024. It's just disgusting. Beyond disgusting. The guy, I don't think, has eclipsed 700 career receiving yards. All right, let's take a look at the receiver. So Calvin Ridley, NWI, Chig Okonkwo, Tyler Boyd, Josh Wiley, Tony Pollard, Tajay Spears, DeAndre Hopkins, who was only on the roster for 6 games, Nick Vannett, Bryce Oliver, and Tay Martin, because Tay Martin had 1 catch for 49 yards and Treylon had 4 catches for 34. Those are the players who all contributed more than Treylon Burks last year. Like, you can't make this shit up, guys. It's crazy. Treylon is still under 700 career receiving yards, and he's going into year 4, 699. He's one shy with only 1 receiving touchdown, technically 2 career touchdowns because he recovered a Derrick Henry fumble in the end zone. But insanity. Absolute insanity. So are you going to so if Treylon Burks is available to come back on let's say the first week in November, and you look around and say, do I want to cut Van Jefferson for Treylon Burks? Do I, if Xavier Restrepo, I don't think Xavier Restrepo is going to make it to the active roster. I don't think there's nothing seemingly special about him. First week of camp, he could make me eat my words on that. Or he could turn into the next Mason Kinsey, who's a perennial practice squad player for a couple of years and gets up for a couple of games and contributes in sparing moments. But are you going to cut Treylon Burks or cut a player who is going to give you more who comes with less problems for Treylon Burks if he was able to come back in November? Of course you're not. Of course you're not. And for Treylon, like I don't have any I don't have anything against him. I think that there are some people in the organ. Well, I know that there are some people because I've had this conversation with several people who are both still with the team and no longer with the team in different capacities. Who Treylon's not lazy, but he lacks urgency, and there can be a middle ground, right? You can be a hard enough worker and not like lazy. Like you can care enough and want to put in the work and be talented enough. He's physically, obviously he's physically gifted. That's the whole reason he was a first round pick, or a big part of the reason he was a first round pick, but he just generally lacks. Like, I think the world just kind of happens around Treylon Burks at any given point. And I think that there's just something missing there at the NFL level that you can look at this and say, yeah, I'm probably good. I'm probably good on that. The Titans, they need players with a level of competitive toughness that this player lacks. And that's beyond the injury stuff. That's just generally like who Treylon Burks is at the NFL level. Give another guy an opportunity. Don't waste more time on this one. They already wasted enough time on him last year when they kept trying, when he was D-Hop's immediate backup instead of just getting NWI involved. Like NWI wasn't a factor or wasn't targeted in the Titans offense, I think, until like week 6. And everybody knew, because we've been here and we've seen this. What are you doing? It's one of the biggest coaching mistakes that staff made last year. It was one of the reasons I was so hard on him. Like, all right, boys, like I get that he's a former first round pick and you want to keep trying this thing, but like bleep off after a while. This is not something that you need to die on this hill with. A month into the season is too much. He's not giving you anything. You have to understand this. He's in his 4th year heading into this year, and he only has 1 career receiving touchdown. I don't even want to do the A.J. Brown numbers comparison because it's just not fair to Treylon. But, whew, well, maybe I will just to make fun of that dipshit that came in here and said, Calvin Ridley and DeAndre Hopkins for pennies on the dollar instead of A.J. Brown, because Vrabel Ball, ignoring completely that Vrabel Ball was Derrick Henry Ball because you have the best running back. It's just, I still can't get over how stupid that person is. Anyway, so all that to say, Treylon Burks, my reaction was, thank God. But he could still technically be a part of the Titans roster, and here's why. Well, let me explain to you why right after I remind you that the Primetime program is made possible by the wonderful people at Two Rivers Ford, True Math Fitness. True Math Fitness in the Gulch is where you go. They go above and beyond to make your fitness journey possible. They make sure that you are in the best possible position to succeed. They're not going to overexert you. They're not going to give you a workout plan that is just that's generic. They're going to make sure that they identify your strengths, your weaknesses, and how to best put you in position to maximize your ability to reach those fitness goals. I'm incredibly grateful to True Math. They've done that for me. They helped me lose 48 pounds a couple of years ago and not yo-yo with my weight, which is is something that I've struggled with my entire life. They've put me on a plan that helps me incredibly without me feeling like I'm compromised as far as my fitness, because it can be intimidating sometimes if you haven't been working out, or you're used to working out a certain way and you try to get into a more just a more routine with a program. True Math makes it so turnkey, and that's why they're offering you your first workout free, because they know once you get in there and you see what they're capable of, how much you'll enjoy it. I used to hate working out. I was a fat piece of shit for a long time. And True Math has completely changed my outlook on that, and I'm incredibly grateful to them. And they will make sure that you are able to achieve your fitness goals, whatever your fitness goals might be. TrueMathFitness.com for more details. Okay, so looking at the situation, because I saw somebody say, where did I see that comment? Somebody said Adam Schefter reported that Treylon Burks was released. And that's not true. He was, here it is. Caleb Meadows says, Adam Schefter has reported Treylon was released. So how will he still be on the team? Well, no, he didn't report that he was released unless I didn't see it, unless Schefter misspoke, because he didn't get released. He got waived. Those two are different things, because if you're familiar with the NFL rules, when you waive a player, there is a period of time that passes where the player can clear waivers, but 31 other teams, Titans have the number one claim in the waiver order, 31 other teams can have the opportunity to claim Treylon Burks while he's on waivers. So if Treylon Burks gets claimed, then he's not your problem anymore. That's not a release. He was claimed off of waivers. But if he doesn't get claimed off of waivers, his contract is fully guaranteed. So he would revert to the Titans injured reserve. In fact, this is them doing Treylon, I think, a solid to give him another opportunity. Just, I don't know that a team would claim him off waivers. Maybe somebody would. But they're going to look around and say, hey, Treylon, we're probably not going to get you involved this year, but we understand you're in a contract year and you want to try and recoup some of your value. So the best thing that we can do for you here is not just outright shut you down, which personally I advocated for, even though I know that would be a raw deal for Treylon. But we're going to put you on waivers. We're going to put you on waivers to give 31 other clubs an opportunity to give you that chance whenever you're medically cleared, because he will be medically cleared to return at some point. It's a fractured collarbone. It's not a season-ending injury by any stretch of the imagination. It would probably cost him about 3, max 4 months, I would imagine. So they put him on waivers to try and do him a favor here. But if no team claims him, because he's Treylon Burks and teams will be familiar with this film, his contract is fully guaranteed. There's no negotiating out of the remainder of his deal based on the length of his rehab. So they could terminate his contract. Any new contract would offset some of the $2.7 million, and Karski added this specific context. Once he's healthy, they could terminate him, and any new contract would offset some of the $2.7 million 2025 base salary that he has. So if he is not claimed on waivers, he's going to go back on your injured reserve list. And then if they take him off IR, they can terminate his contract, which would be a release or a cut. But he is still technically going to be a part of the organization should he clear waivers, which, maybe a team takes a flyer on him. Caleb Farley got another job in the league. Robert, is Caleb Farley still on the Panthers roster? Do you know that offhand? He's not. Robert's looking it up for me, and we'll get to, in case you missed it, here in just a second. But Caleb Farley, arguably had more serious injury. I don't think it's arguable. Had more serious injuries than Treylon Burks did. And Caleb Farley ended up on the Panthers, which is his hometown team, and in fact got into a game. Now it's a 5-win football team, and they're looking around and saying we're just trying to get something out of nothing here. But this is a situation with Treylon where maybe a team will take a flyer on. Andrew Frill says he's a free agent. Is that correct, Robert? He is currently a free agent. So maybe Caleb Farley doesn't end up back in the league. But Caleb Farley got another opportunity for the back half of last season. And it could theoretically happen with Treylon Burks. First-round picks get chances all the time. This first-round pick would be a tough one to try and take an additional chance on. But doesn't mean that 31 other teams might not consider it. Now, it works against him that he's already hurt, and we're a week into training camp, and that any team that would claim him would have to wait until November, and then I guess they would have to use, because if they claimed him, he would have to be on the active roster. I guess they could theoretically cut him before roster cut down day, but I do think that there are some injury protections. There's some red tape there that I think that it would probably require an active roster spot to keep Treylon Burks around, which is not something anybody wants to do. Brandon Tyler says, in your interactions with him, I assume talking about Treylon, did he act any different than he did in the interviews? Because anytime he gave an interview, he seemed uncomfortably quiet to be a wide receiver. I mean, some dudes are. Derrick Henry is a giant, larger than life human being. Derrick is one of the biggest introverts I know. Derrick is not, brash. He's not bold. His play is, but that's, Treylon Burks, I think, was more comfortable and more outspoken than Derrick Henry was. And that's a low bar is what I'm saying. So, wide receivers, there are different personality types all over the place. Hopkins has a quiet confidence about him, and Hopkins was never bad or uncomfortable in media settings. Now, he could make people uncomfortable based on the way that he approaches some of this stuff, but like Hopkins is not over the top. He's clearly confident in himself, and he should be. He's one of the best wide receivers in NFL history. But he is Treylon. No, he was the exact same person the whole way through. I never really had any kind of beyond press conference relationship with Treylon. Frankly, he wasn't around enough in the locker room throughout the course of his 3 years here to try and grow a relationship with, to try and get to know the guy. Because, I mean, he spent a good portion of his career here on injured reserve in several different stints. And typically when guys go on IR, they're not in the locker room. And it's obviously, unless I'm going to see Treylon Burks out or something like that, which I didn't ever. There are different Titans players on this roster that I have seen out and do see out sometimes. But Treylon is not somebody like Treylon and I, and probably the majority of the media corps. He wasn't really around enough, and nor do I think he cared to try and engage with us the way that some dudes do. Some dudes don't. A lot of dudes don't want to deal with the media no matter what. We're subhuman to some of them, and that's fine. I totally get that. But Treylon just simply wasn't around very much for me to really ever get to know that guy. And that's crazy for somebody who's in a locker room for, the last 9 straight years, 45 minutes a day for what? Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, and then Sundays. So 4 days a week for the last 3 seasons that he was on the roster. And I don't really know this person at all, which, can speak to some of his personality, but can also speak to the fact that he just simply wasn't around. Anyway, in case you missed it, is what we have remaining. And then B French says, do I think his NFL career is over? I thought Caleb Farley's was over, and Caleb Farley got a job. So I'd say there's a percentage chance that somebody takes a chance on Treylon Burks, but it's a very, very small, very, very small. All right, Bert, what do you got for in case you missed it? Let's get off this. And God forbid we, just like Will Levis, I'm happy that we don't have to talk about this shit until such time as they are officially released, the two of them, or, in Levis's case, traded.
Okay, so a couple things I want to talk about. You can hear me okay. I want to make sure my headphones not messing up. When I was reading the rules about waiving injured players, I thought this was interesting. Whether it results with Treylon happening, I just thought this was pretty cool with the rules. Once a player is waived injured, the waiving team has 5 days to make an injury settlement with the player. I'm assuming that they have already come to this injury settlement since that was mentioned in the tweet. This is the interesting part. The wait after the 5 days, which compensates them for the time they are expected to be injured. That makes the player a free agent, but they cannot re-sign with the team that waived them for 6 weeks plus the length of the settlement. I didn't know that. That's pretty interesting to me. I didn't know that when you see those phrases, injury settlement, it's not like, okay, we're going to pay you out a percent of your contract. Or no, they are paying you, I'm assuming based off of your contract, how long you are going to be injured. That's my expectation. I thought that was pretty cool. Something else I thought was pretty cool was you dismissing Randall for, you guys can't see this, but I can see it on my side. This comment came in at 7:30. 7:30. This next comment came in at 7:36. That means that Buck was berating this man for a minimum of 6 minutes. I know that it happened at 7:30. I think Buck was talking shit past 7:36. You demolished this guy. So much, in fact, that I have been working on a new cosplay, and it is you versus this guy. Randall will be played by this gentleman here, and this was Buck for 8 minutes. Randall!
I'd do it for another 8 minutes. I can't believe how dumb that person is. Brother, you got to get the fuck out of here. You know what I'm saying? I know. I'm sorry.
I was downstairs cooking dinner, and I was like, who the hell?
Oh, you got up.
I still had my headphones on. I just wasn't listening. I mean, I wasn't here. But it's like, you stupid, idiotic. And I'm like, yeah, somebody really pissed Buck off. Something that might brighten your day up.
Oh,
Question
like,
I want to
let's
ask
do it
are.
my day.
Oh, shut up. Who is that? You're getting blocked.
You know what? And Bert's not even the shortest person on the show. Lucas is like 4'9".
Very tiny.
It's all ass.
Greatest name changes in sports. I don't care how you get there. Muhammad Ali. I know that was for religious reasons, but that's like probably one of the most iconic names in sports of all time. I go to Ocho Cinco, Meta World Peace. But the one name change I was not expecting, Bijan Robinson, or as he says it, Bijan.
Properly give us the pronunciation of your name.
All right. How you pronounce my name is Bijan. For everybody that's out there, I know a lot of people say Bijan, but it's Bijan. It's Bijan, yeah.
Bijan, like Bijan mustard?
No, Bijan. You just stole my whole take up. Let me go back to my camera. Let me recede back into my beginning of stage performance. You're a liar. You are a liar. Hey, everybody, he's a liar. I know you're a liar because you tried for 2 years to sell us Bijan's Dijon. Oh, but Bijan's Dijon doesn't work as well. That's why you have a whole commercial dedicated to it. You son of a bitch!
Ready! Touchdown.
Oh, no.
Bijan Mustardson? You wanted that condiment bag.
For the money? That's crazy. That's crazy.
Well, the mustard had been being sold, and now that he has his mustard money, he's like, it's not Bijan's Dijon. It's Bijan.
Bijan.
I don't know if you've seen anything he's been doing. He's been very artsy. He's been very artsy, hanging out at Texas with Matthew McConaughey. Oh, I'd like to be an actor. He was in Outer Banks and played random beach dude number 2. You know what? I'm going to step out on a limb, despite him being potentially one of the most sought after players in fantasy football this year. I'm going to come out and say Bijan is going to be the next Russell Wilson. We're going to think this dude is a goober. If he wasn't good, if he was
Unlimited,
yes. If he wasn't good, he would be just like Will Levis. What's the difference? I think Mayo is more widely accepted, but we're just letting this mustard boy slide? No way. Not on my case. So I'm on to you. I'm on to you, Mr. Mustardson. You think you can slide it by everybody else? Not by me, because I bought in low, baby. And I'm not buying this other shit you're peddling.
What are you doing with that in your house?
We're going to opening it up. Titans fans, I bought 2 bottles of this shit. I bought 2. Let me get a little. Cheyenne loves this. As soon as I spray this, these pheromones about to fill the whole house. They about to come. She about to be. Hey man, my Michaels. You know that's how it is over here.
Whatever happens, just don't put it on Snapchat. Like the namesake.
Oh Lord.
No, don't leave me with the Snapchat joke. That's so mean. I think the next time I tee off on somebody, we should actually time it to see how long I can just shit on somebody, because 8 minutes is pretty good.
I need to go back and officially time. Oh, I got to
go. That's going to do it for us tonight, mercifully, on the Primetime Show. We're back at practice tomorrow. As soon as I know who the player is for tomorrow's radio show, I will let you know. But obviously, we'll have Cam Ward's press conference. Brian Callahan will speak. I'm sure he'll talk about Treylon, and that will be, we can wash our hands of that situation moving forward. But it'll be great. A fully padded practice, and looking forward to talking about that fully padded practice with you guys tomorrow. Well, I guess tomorrow's Tuesday. So do you want to work Tuesday since they've got a padded practice for us to talk about and move our day off later in the week, Robert?
That's a really shitty situation for me because I was going to take Thursday off anyway and make Ross do it. So we can do Tuesday.
So maybe Okay, maybe we do tomorrow, and then we can take Thursday off because I think I would like Thursday off too.
I wanted Thursday and Tuesday off.
Well, tough shit. Get out of my face.
Damn it. Take me out. Do your little yup. Hang on. How do I get you out of here, you son of a bitch?
He's so stupid. I was going to use the wrong hand anyway. I would have pushed him that way. All right, enough of this. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. at St. Thomas Sports Park for Titans training camp. Unless you're that dipshit Randall, then I never want to see you again. See you guys. So dumb. So dumb.